Good evening. Welcome to another wretched version of Diatribes from the voice of doom. Now here's your reckless and wrathful host, voice of doom. Hello. Okay, I'm back. I have to do a diatribe because a lot has happened in the last 24 hours. And I think that the world is waiting for my opinion. So I will oblige them. Now, we had a little news today, April 24th. And it's just coincidental that I did a diatribe about Don Lemon and his little argument with Vivek Ramaswamy. And I gave you some background on Don Lemon. And so I don't have to go over that again. Apparently there was some purgings going on in the world of journalism today. And Don was unceremoniously shown the door and said, "Good luck to you. You're no longer with our company." That's CNN. For obvious reasons. Now, he had that coming, and at the same time, Fox News got rid of their flagship star host, Tucker Carlson, as a gift to the powers that be. We give you his head in exchange for our transgressions in reporting incorrectly about this Dominion voting business, which I do not want to get into. It's boring and it's confusing. They make it that way. But apparently you can say whatever you want on the news, but if it's caught that you knew that it was a lie at the time that you reported it, then you're in big trouble and have to pay almost $1 billion. So, I mean, it's starting to get into, serious money now. $780 million settlement on that trial of Fox, which they paid and used Tucker as their whipping boy scapegoat. It's obvious. But you better be careful on the internet and what you email here and there and everywhere, because you can lie all you want if you're a journalist. Just don't have any evidence that you knew it was a lie. You can talk about Russian influence, a dossier. You can talk about all kinds of things that Orangey did without any evidence whatsoever, as long as you can say, well, it's an honest mistake. We didn't know we were lying at the time. Which is the same thing as this CIA business. The letter from 51 intelligence, and I use that term loosely, personalities, saying that the Hunter laptop had all the earmarks of a Russian disinformation campaign. So they weren't actually lying, they just said it looks like it could be. So that's what they're saying now. Now that it's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's his laptop. So all these things go together. Tucker, born May 16, 1969 in San Francisco. Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. Tucker Swanson McNear Carlson was his name, and his father, who I don't have his name, something Carlson, was a gonzo reporter. Now, a gonzo reporter is someone who interjects himself or herself or theyself into the story and is not necessarily objective and is not necessarily truthful. They're impressionists in the world of journalism, made famous by the famous Hunter S. Thompson, one of my favorite writers or journalists, because he was irreverent and he was interesting, and he was a mess. He was kind of smart. Mother was an artist, McNear. And if you put a gonzo reporter and an artist together, I think you can safely say his parents were libs. But they were libs back in the 60s. Big difference. And Tucker apparently put on a bow tie, and when he put that bow tie on, he suddenly became a paleo-conservative. That is a very primitive conservative who believes in such old outlandish theories as Christian ethics, regionalism, nationalism, traditional conservatism, sometimes called the old right. So he is a paleo-conservative, and he's worked and he's evolved, obviously. He started the Policy Review, or was a writer for that in his early days. He worked for CNN, he worked for MSNBC. 05 to 08. He worked for PBS from 04 to 05. He worked for Fox from 09 to 23. Today was his last day. I don't know who's packing up his stuff, but that's probably a big project because I'm sure his office is not small. Established the Daily Caller website 2010 to 2020. Sold his shares. And can't help but thinking how pissed Don Lemon must be, because even when he's getting fired, he can't have the limelight to himself. Alright, I got fired from CNN, but at least I'm in the news. At least they're paying attention. Tucker just got fired. And he's shoved off to the side like whatever. So even in his shame and his humiliation, he can't have it all to himself. So that's just Lemon's karma. His life is a mess. And I'm sure he would probably call me a racist for saying that. But another thing in the news is apparently Petri Dish is going to announce his candidacy for re-election to the position of Commander-in-Chief and President of what used to be the United States. He's going to do it tomorrow. Now everybody's on pins and needles waiting to see what he says, as if implying that just because he says he's running for whatever position that is now in November of 24, that's a long way away. I can say I'm going to become a famous writer in 2 years. I can say I'm going to go on a world tour playing music in 2 years. I could be dead in 2 weeks. I could be dead tomorrow. So saying you're going to do something doesn't mean that, okay, now Petri Dish is back in the game and we can get down to this big knockdown drag out between him and Orangey. A rematch. Petri won last time, so he'll win again. He'll do the same thing he did last election. Hide in the basement, not say a whole hell of a lot, and hope that enough people hate Orangey to re-elect him. That's their strategy. What they do if someone else is nominated for the Goppers, I don't know, but they can cross that bridge when they come to it, even though it'll probably be blown up. There will be no bridge to come to. But I also wanted to make a comment about this Taibbi business. Now, if you're a D, you can lie your ass off about everything. You can lie your ass off about how many people are dying in Ukraine. You can lie your ass off about what weapons are going to Ukraine and what weapons are being sold on the black market that were being sent to Ukraine. You can lie about Orangey all you want. You can make any lie you want. You will never be held accountable, ever. Not going to happen. They're untouchable. But if you are Matt Taibbi and you are up in front of the Congress testifying about the information culled from the Twitter debacle, in which the government was strong-arming the internet companies to do their bidding, you can be threatened with perjury and be threatened with jail for simply getting an acronym wrong. One letter. You got one letter wrong, we're going to come after you. You're going to get 5 years in prison for perjury. Instigated by none other than that same ranking member of some committee, Stacy Plaskett, representative of the Virgin Islands. Now, I'm not saying anything against the Virgin Islands. I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they're beautiful. But we have these upstart representatives coming from the territories and saying, we're going to jail you for telling the truth about Twitter because you got a letter wrong. Everything's an acronym now. It's an honest mistake. And it wasn't even a mistake. It might be a slip of the tongue, or it might just be a misstatement. I do it all the time. I have to correct myself. But she wants to put this Taibbi guy in jail because he lied to the Congress over that letter of the alphabet. Yet the D's can do anything they want. They can have the most slanderous, libelous information and spat it out with impunity. And if anybody calls them on that, they either say it was an honest mistake, or they just deny it completely, or they double down. It could be almost anything, but there's two ways that things are handled: the D way and the Gopper way. The Goppers get punished for not dotting an I or not crossing a T. The D's could blow up half of Ukraine, or most of Ukraine, and not suffer any consequences over that. They can leave people stranded in Afghanistan to die and not suffer any consequences. But if a Gopper says something wrong, gets the date wrong, gets the hour wrong, I asked you what time you were at that meeting. 3 o'clock you said. It was actually 4 o'clock. You're off to jail you go. Now come on. They're going to keep going back and forth on this crap until we're all running back and forth in troughs that we dug ourselves. Now, I won't say anything more about that, but we're heading toward mass destruction by allowing this multi-tiered system of justice, where the Department of Justice is supposed to be unbiased, and they couldn't be more biased if they tried. It's obvious that Wink and Blink and Nod and Grandma Garland were both in on this CIA misinformation, and they knew it was a lie at the time, and they testified to it. Do you think they're going to go to jail? Do you really think they're going to go to jail? If those two guys go into jail, that means that this country has changed, has done a total turn turtle, and decided we're going to become a real country now. We're not going to be this pretend little artificial country that we've been for 250 years. No more of that. We've never been a real country because we're too afraid to put our own politicians in jail because it would look bad. It would look bad for America if we actually acknowledged we had criminals running the country. So we're infantile. We're not on the same level as Uganda. They jail people who are criminals when they're presidents. Many African countries jail their presidents. Many South American countries jail their presidents. They're way more progressive than we are. They're evolutionarily farther along. So I think I did well putting those three subjects together and gave you a little background on Tucker. I don't know if I have anything else on my notes of interest. No. I think I said it all. So I'll leave it there. I think it was a halfway decent one. Little background information on the whole situation. But we are seeing that the journalists are kind of going, wait a minute, if these guys can be fired, I could be fired. I better watch my P's and Q's. And it's also obvious that Tucker was anti-Ukraine war and anti a lot of things that the that the neocons and the libs and the wokesters all are working together to keep going. So he was a thorn in their side, even if he did make them lots of money. They had to give it all to Dominion, who will probably run off to the Virgin Islands with it. So it's all full circle. All right, I'll see you later and enjoy the night, and cheers.